All right, we'll call this meeting back to order, or back to order in open session, I should say. So our action item on the agenda is approval of the superintendent's evaluation. First, we should get a motion for the approval of the superintendent's evaluation.
Make a motion. I think we should, let's go through the scores first.
Okay.
And then once we have the scores, I'll report back to you the final score, and then you can put forth a motion to adopt the final score and the final rating.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay. All right. So, you need just a half a second.
Do we need to make a motion to come back in open session?
I don't know if we technically have to.
Okay.
But we can, just to cover it. So I'll entertain a motion to come back into open session. Motion. We have a second.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support to come back into open session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, we are back in open session.
Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder, Steph.
Just give me a minute or two here.
We have like three of them. So Rachel's second one.
Okay. So we will go through these areas one by one. I'm looking for consensus of the board. So as I read the rating, I'm looking to you for your agreement. And then once we have scored everything, I will report back out to you the final score. If you have something vastly different, or you're not in agreement with what I believe I heard in the meeting, what I believe I come to a consensus, then just let me know. But otherwise, we'll just kind of move through these one by one, okay? So, starting with A1, policy involvement, 2.5. A2, goal development, 3. A3, information, 2.5.
I'm not in consensus with this.
All right. Let's see, A3, correct? Okay, A3, 3. All right, can I have a show of hands, please, on A3, 2.5?
2.5 on A3.
Okay, 2.5. A4, materials and background, 3. A5, board questions, 3. A6, board development, 3. All right, for A1 through A6, I have a composite score of 2.8 and a whole lot of 3s. Moving on to Area B, community relations. B1, parent feedback, 3. Communication with community, 3.5. Community feedback, 3.5. Media relations, 3.5.
I think that's how.
Three.
Okay, media relations, 3.
I could do a 3.
Okay. District image, 3.5. Approachability, B6, 3. All right, overall rating for area B, 3.25. Moving on to area C, staff relations. Staff feedback, 3. Staff communications, 3. Personnel matters, 2.5. C4, delegation of duties, 3. C5, recruitment, 3.
2.5.
All right, can I see a show of hands on this one? On a 3? Okay, 2.5. All right, 2.5. C6, labor relations, 3. C7, visibility in district, 3.5. That gives us an overall score, C1 through C7, of a 2.9285714. All right, business and finance, area D. D1, budget development and management, 3.5. 3.
I also am at a 3.
All right, 3.5, hands please. 3. D1 is a 3. D2, budget reports, 3. D3, financial controls, 3. Facility management, 3. D5, resource allocation, 3. That gives us a average D1 through D5 of a 3. Instructional leadership. E1, performance evaluation system, 3. Building level leadership, 3. E3, staff development, 3. E4, school improvement, 3. E5, curriculum, 3.5. E6, instruction, 3. E7, student feedback, 3. E8, student attendance, 3. E9, support for students, 3. And E10, professional knowledge, 3. That gives us a score for E1 through E10, 3.055556. Final 2 areas, student growth, and progress towards goals. There we are. Student growth. 1 second, please. Okay, student growth, a final rating of 3.
I have a 2.5.
I have a 2.5.
2.5.
So as we discussed in closed session, as this relates to student growth for the entire district, we need to stay in line with how we found our teachers and administrators. Since we found our teachers and administrators to be effective, that is squarely in the area of 3. So my recommendation would be that the board consider that towards a consensus of 3. Having said that, can I see a show of hands on a 3, please? Thank you. 3. Progress toward district-wide goals, 3.5. Okay. I have a professional practice score for 50% of the evaluation at a 3.010119048. A student growth score of 3, a progress toward district-wide goals as a 3.5. Our total score is a 3.055059524, which translates to a 76%, which puts our superintendent in the area of effective. With that, I will turn it over to the board president.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's evaluation of effective.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Nay. Okay, so we did have a nay, so why don't we do a roll call, please? I'll start. Why don't we start with you, Rachel?
Aye.
I am an aye. Danette?
Aye.
Richard? Nay.
Aye.
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 All right, so we have this one. We have 6 ayes and a nay, so motion is approved. All right, so that takes us to our next action item.
I'm sorry, yeah, if I can have just a minute?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, board. I appreciate you having me on to help facilitate this process. As I said earlier, I will provide you with a copy of the Excel spreadsheet that I've been tallying the scores in here, and I will also include in that, in my email, some additional recommendations going forward. And I will get all that to you hopefully tomorrow, maybe not until Wednesday, only because looking at my calendar tomorrow, I know I have interviews for a position we're trying to fill in the office and some other meetings. So if I don't get it to it tomorrow, I will definitely get to it on Wednesday and get you that copy of the Excel and then some recommendations moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
You as well, and again, thank you very much for making the time to come and not only provide the training, but to facilitate the evaluation. I think this is a different experience than this board or anybody that's been on this board has experienced in the past. So I think this is very beneficial.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right.
All right, with that, that takes us, so we are finishing up the board workshop special meeting, so that takes us to public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Sounds like no public comment. All right. So with no public comment, I will take a motion to adjourn the special board meeting and board workshop.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and support. And all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, meeting adjourned. And with that, Mr. Zuber, I need to hand this over to you. So that you can do the duties.
All right, right back at it. For this, just for the time being, until the board, since this is an organizational meeting, until they elect the president, I will be running the meeting. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, would like to take a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Support. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, everybody here, if we could please stand if you are able, raise your right hand as we take an oath of office for all members. I'm going to read this. Get out of the way so you can hear me. You can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And our state constitution.
and our state constitution,
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education at Grant Public Schools.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Grant Public Schools.
Perfect. Congratulations.
I don't remember doing that last year.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. All right, next on the agenda is election of officers. So, are there any nominations for board president?
I'm going to nominate Ken.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Yeah, I did not.
Okay.
I nominate Rob.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anybody else? Any other nominations?
I nominate Ken.
I'm already
It's
nominated.
been nominated.
Yep.
All right. Hearing none, probably the easiest way to do this is we'll just go right down the line and say either Ken's name or Rob's name, and the people with the most, person with the most talent will be named president. So Rachel, we'll start with you.
Ken.
I will abstain.
Jeanette?
Ken.
Ken.
Abstaining.
Rob.
Okay. Ken is our president-elect. Gets the gavel.
Thank you. All right, with that, we need to elect a vice president. Take nominations for vice president, please.
I nominate Rachel.
Okay, we have a nominee of Rachel. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Any other nominations for vice president?
I nominate Stephanie.
I'll second.
We have a nomination and a second. All right, so we will do the same thing. We'll go right down the row and just say either Rachel or Stephanie, if you would, please. Stephanie, why don't we start right down there with you?
Abstain.
Stephanie?
Rachel.
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 I will vote Rachel.
Abstain.
All right, Rachel is our vice president. Secretary, I need a nomination for secretary, please.
I nominate Jeanette.
I support that.
Okay, we have a nomination and support. Do we have any other nominees for secretary? All right, no other nominations. All in favor of Danette as secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Now we need a nominee for treasurer. Do we have a nomination for treasurer?
I nominate Sabrina.
We have a nomination for Sabrina. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
I nominate Stephanie.
we have support for Stephanie for treasurer?
Second.
So we have Sabrina or Stephanie is what we have. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go right down the row and just say Sabrina or Stephanie for treasurer, please. Rachel, why don't we start with you?
Sabrina.
I will also say Sabrina.
Sabrina.
Abstain.
Stephanie.
Abstain.
All right. Sabrina is elected treasurer. Just documenting the votes here. All right. The next item on the agenda is appointment of executive secretary.
Yeah.
Mr. Zuber.
Yep, the appointment of the executive secretary is done on a yearly basis and is in charge of properly posting notice of all regular and special Board of Education meetings. I'm recommending that Kim Anderson be approved as the executive secretary.
Second that.
Support.
Okay, so I'm going to actually make yours the motion to approve. Okay, so we have a motion and support to approve Kim Anderson as the executive secretary. Do we have any discussion?
Just that she does a great job.
I think she absolutely does a great job. All right, hearing no discussion on that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Next item, appointment of legal counsel.
Yeah, appointing the Board of Education's legal counsel is done yearly. Legal counsel advises the Board of Education regarding legal matters pertaining to the operation of the district. Recommended to appoint Clark Hill, Prune Law Firm, and then this last one, Miller Johnson, has been on our list for a lot of years, but we did some looking today and can't find the last time we utilized them for anything necessarily, but just for consistency, we'll stay on there, so obviously you can discuss what you want to do. If those are the two.
Support. I'm sorry. Okay, so we have a motion. Who made the motion? Rob made the motion. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
So, Mr. Zuber, I am not seeing, I see one for the adoption of Clark Hill and one for Through, but I do not see one for Miller Johnson.
Right, because we couldn't really find anything other than we've had.
Okay,
before.
so we're just Clark Hill and Through is the recommendation? Okay, I just want to make sure that I was clear on that.
Feel free to discuss, obviously.
Why would we want to get rid of Miller Johnson? I mean, they're a law firm with a couple of lawyers that are really reputable in education law, and the reason we have 3 different ones is in case we need an area of expertise. So I feel like that puts us as a district at a big disadvantage if a situation does arise where we need their expertise and we don't have them. They're used throughout the county, and they come highly recommended as a law firm to use.
Brett, if we were to use, in times past, if you would have gone to them, what would you have gone to them for?
I never have. So that's the thing, we look back, and it's
So we've never
about a decade or
utilized
so since we utilized them. But like Rob said, there's always second opinions or other things that we can use.
Areas of expertise that they're stronger at than others. The fact that we haven't had to use them is good, but be careful when you don't have them.
Is there not a situation, Ken, that there's a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Johnson?
Currently, I've got to be careful about giving an opinion right now, being in the presiding officer position, but currently there is a situation where Miller Johnson could be in a position where they are in litigation against the district. So it would actually be a conflict of interest if we did adopt them.
It's a big law firm, they have lots of different departments, that doesn't mean that they work together on.
Still, if that law firm represents us, that can create an issue, so.
I would actually rather see us use Miller Johnson and not use Clark Hill anymore. I feel like our legal counsel from Clark Hill has let this district down many times over the past year specifically, even further. So my recommendation is that if we're going to get rid of one, we get rid of Clark Hill.
So we have a motion on the floor to adopt both Clark Hill and Thruin Law Firm as our legal services, our representation. So with that, we've heard a little bit of discussion, but I'm not hearing anything other than that, so.
No, I go by what the superintendent stated, going back through, we haven't utilized them and needed them. So I think just staying with the two that are being presented to us would be appropriate.
Are we good to call the vote on this? All right, all in favor of adopting both Clark Hill and Thruin Law Firm as our legal representation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, so we do have a nay, so I am going to do a roll call. Hold on just a minute. I'm going to put it down. All right. Rachel?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Okay. Richard?
Aye.
Rob?
Nay.
Stephanie?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right, appointment of designated depositories.
Yeah, the board must decide where to deposit school funds and authorize the transfer and investment of funds under the direction of the superintendent and authorize the signature under which all fund checks and payroll are issued. It is recommended the board uses Choice One Bank, Bank of New York, and MILAF, which stands for the Michigan Liquid Asset Fund, actually, designated depositories. I had to look that up.
All right, do we have a motion?
Support.
Sabrina, I'm going to give you the credit for the motion.
Support.
Stephanie, thank you. All right, any discussion on this one? We currently use all three of these right now, right? Okay. Any other discussion, questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Approval of designated newspaper.
Yeah, the approval of the designated newspaper 2,000 public notices is also done on a yearly basis. It is recommended to designate the Times Indicator as the primary newspaper used by our district for public notices.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the Times Indicator? Thank you. Support. All right, we have motion and support. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, I just remember earlier in the year there was concerns brought up by a board member that the Times Indicator was not always seen by everyone, and that wasn't the, necessarily always the best way to get information out. Is this also an opportunity for us to include additional publications or newspapers or online sources or anyone to add so that there is more of an opportunity to get, as many eyes on it as possible?
So Rob, you may offer an amendment to this, yes.
Okay. I'm asking a question because I don't know if there would be one that you would recommend, or if there's other opportunities, or other publications that you've worked with that are good, because we have a big district, so.
A lot of times, like when we publicize job postings and things like that, are a lot of different online sites as well as the newspaper. And that's different. And I don't want to sound antiquated, but even the term newspaper is something that's probably
Right.
around super, I hope it'll run forever. But it's, yeah. If you guys have any ideas and want to add something, this is the time to do it.
Well, and I guess I would just point out this does specifically say for public notices, so, yeah.
And you can submit public notices to like the highlights, and then it's free to the community, they don't have to pay.
So my question is, should we consider adding additional publications to this in order to try to ensure, that what we're posting, what we're sharing is being seen? So highlights would be one. There's Near North Now, an online publication. That would be another one that I don't know if they do. I'm more asking questions than anything.
I don't think too many people read newspapers anymore. They wait till to the online site.
And that's why I'm saying, because the only reason I'm bringing it up is it was brought up before that, notices were not being seen because they were an indicator. Not everybody gets an indicator. So, I guess if I would amend it, I would file, a motion to amend, in addition to the Times Indicator, the highlights, and Near North Now. Is there any other publications anybody knows of that would be beneficial?
So it's Near North Now. Is that
Yeah, and that's online.
So you're offering an amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're offering an amendment to change it from Times Indicator to Times Indicator, and what else?
Highlights, Near North Now.
And just be careful of having too many, because all of a sudden if you miss one, then someone could come back and complain that they didn't see it, and it wasn't published in one of the ones that we designate.
Yeah.
Simpler is better.
Yeah, I would agree if we get too congested here, if for whatever reason a public notice goes in one and they don't get it in another one, then we could actually be in trouble too. So I'd be cautious, but that is up to the board.
Well, this memo is for designated newspaper. If we want to do something with online or another thing, we can come back again.
So we can, but I just want to make sure we have a motion on the floor. I have not heard a second to that motion. And that was a motion to amend to add the highlights and Near North Now. Is there a second
I'll
to
second
that?
that.
Okay, so we have a second by Jeanette. Okay, so we need to vote on the amendment. So all we are voting for right now is whether or not we are adding the language of highlights and Near North Now into this motion to designate a newspaper. So with that, I would ask or all in favor of adding highlights and Near North Now, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, that sounded to me like the nays had that, but I want to make sure that we actually designate or get the vote right, so. All right, Stephanie, if I can start with you.
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Sabrina? Nay. Jeanette?
Aye.
I'm a nay. Rachel?
No.
Okay, so that motion fails to add that language. So now we are back to the main motion of times indicator. Any further discussion on this? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Passes. Regular monthly meeting schedule.
Yes, the board must set the date, time, and dates of the regular meetings through January 2025 per the board discussion. The time has been set at 6 p.m. in the Fine Arts Center. If conflict dates are known in advance, the board may schedule the regular meetings on a different day. The meeting schedule through January 2025 is set as follows. February 12th, 2024, March 11th, 2024, April 8th, 2024, May 13th, 2024, June 10th, 2024, July 8th, 2024, August 12th, 2024, September 9th, 2024, October 14th, 2024, November 11th, 2024, December 9th, 2024, and January 13th, 2025. It is recommended the board approve setting the regular meeting dates as listed above at 6 p.m. in the Fine Arts Center.
Do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion on this one?
Just want to bring it up again as a question. With the 4th of July being on Thursday, the 8th is the following Monday. Are we concerned that that's so close to the holiday that we may have conflicts with people's vacation schedules? Would it be okay to move it back, or to discuss moving it back a week to July 15th? I guess that's for you.
And I would also mention traditionally, the June board meeting has been held 1 week later, just to give a little extra time for financial clarifications and finalizations. So just something to think about. That list of dates is the second Monday of each month, but traditionally, we have bumped that meeting to the third Monday of June. And Rob, your other point is well taken as well.
Yeah, I think if we approve this, I mean, we can change the date at any point. So, you know, I mean, with proper notice, that's all we need to do. So, I'm good either way.
Do that now.
We could do it now, sure.
We're going to have
Yep.
a 1 week later for June, you might do 1 week later for July, and then get back in August.
Okay, so I need a motion to amend then.
I'd like to make a motion to amend both the June and the July meeting to 1 week later. Support.
Okay, so we would go ahead. Okay, so the motion to amend, then correct me if I'm wrong here, is to change the June meeting date from June 10th, 2024 to June 17th. I have 7, I forgot the 1. And July 8th to July 15th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so the motion that we are voting on now is just those 2 dates, changing just those 2 dates. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. That passes. Now we need to vote on the entire schedule. Is there any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion passes. NCASB Board Representative.
Yeah, the board is being asked to appoint a representative to the Newaygo County Area School Board. This group is responsible for developing the fall and spring NCASB board dinner.
All right, so I need a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion and support. Discussion? I guess my question would be, are we naming that representative right now, or?
That's
Yes.
actually what we're doing.
Okay.
I like to nominate Stephanie.
That's it.
The newbie gets it.
Sorry, it's not a big response, I don't want to whisper it, it's not a big responsibility. I did, I think, my first term, and there may have been one meeting, and then the dinner, so maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's why the newbie gets it.
I missed who seconded that.
Dinner.
You read it faster than me. All right, any other nominations? Stephanie, are you good with being nominated for that? Okay. Just want to make sure that you're okay with it before we sign you up for something. All right. All in favor of nominating Stephanie to the NCASB as a board representative, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Stephanie. All right, that takes us to reports. Elementary PC, Carol Dawson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a quick couple of updates. I know I put details into our board packet, and so just to highlight some great stuff going on with, Ashley Rios. She's doing our C4S counseling, and we have 12 students that she's working with, and that is her maximum caseload right now. So pretty cool that those kids are getting that service at school. And she works with the parents to talk all through that, and they have like targeted things that they're working on based on whatever that child has as far as the need goes for counseling. We have our spelling bee coming up. We just had our fourth graders take their classroom test, and so I think we have 10 kids that made it to the school bee, so kind of a light year for spellers this year. And usually, actually, we have a smaller number because it's just from fourth grade. But last year, we had a lot of spellers that were successful. So we'll see who takes it to the top. We had one student who scored 25 out of 25 on the paper test. So I think we'll have some good competition. Our annual coin drive, just that idea. Last year, we raised $1,000 in coins. And this year, we tripled that in a time when I feel like it's been really tricky for families. So I was really surprised by the generosity and, the work that the kids did with that. And then I did put a cool example in there for you guys on my most recent experience with that ChatGPT piece with AI and how I created a writing calendar. We do calendar challenges, and it was pretty awesome to just type in a sentence and then it just spit out the calendar, and then I did an adjustment sentence and it adjusted it, and it was really cool. So just wrapping our heads around the time-saving piece that could bring for me when I start to fully understand what kind of questions I might ask from that leadership role for me. So those were the things that I put in there, but I do also just want to take a minute. I think that as an educational leader, we have a lot of responsibilities, and I think, this is my 12th year here in Grant. I had 4 years before that, so my 16th year as a leader and my 29th year in education. And I think back to the first, year of being an educator and just how naive I was and how excited I was. I didn't even know there was a teacher's manual that year. And to now, and like the storms that we've weathered with COVID and just rethinking everything, the work that we're doing around kids that have some pretty significant learning gaps and some pretty significant trauma and pieces that they are trying to work through as they are a learner. And then just becoming a mom, not too many years ago through adoption, and learning what it looks like to balance the whole plate, and it's a big deal. And I think that being a leader in this forum can also sometimes just be a little bit lonely. You have a lot of things that you are thinking about, a lot of things that you keep close to your, heart or close to your chest as far as that poker game goes, to try to make sure that you're supporting everybody around you and doing the most good that you can with the tools that you're given. And I think COVID really taught me how to be a leader that is a better listener and a better supporter of the teachers. I think at some point when you become a leader, you go from being one of them to one of us, and suddenly you're not a teacher anymore and you're a leader, and your brain shifts a little bit. And I think my biggest focus now is to really support the teachers. They're doing the job that has to be done, and they're building the relationships that are the most important relationships. I mean, all of us know how important teacher-student relationships are, and I think that I just want to take a minute to say that in all my years of having a leader, that Mr. Zuber has been the leader that has really shown that path to me. I've had a lot of different leaders, and all of them have done different things and grown me to be who I am right now. But Brett is really, I remember when we interviewed him, we thought, like, is this guy for real? That he's always around and he knows the kids. And I know that you guys just, went through that evaluation tool, and there's a lot of things on there. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't come to you from the leadership standpoint of somebody on our grant team, not saying how big of a deal it is to have a leader that puts his money where his mouth is, and how he supports the entire administration team through tricky things, through easy things. If I invite him to participate in a club, he is there for basketball with those 13 kids every single week. And I can tell you that one of the things that I have always been the most impressed with is that the kids in the hallway run up and hug him, and he knows their names. He checks back in with them. And from my seat in this role, I've never seen anything like that. It's made me a better leader. It's made me more connected with the students and the staff that I work with. And I am proud to be working with Brett Zuber. So I just wanted to take a minute to say that. I know you don't hear from us very often on those pieces, but I think it's an important piece to share for me tonight, so thank you for listening. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Aiken.
Good evening. Got a few things here. We'll be doing our spelling bee on the morning of January 19th, and we're looking to get back into the winner's circle at the county level. It's been a year since we're 2 years, so we're looking to get back on top. We've got some great candidates this year, so we're looking forward to that. Also on January 19th, we're going to be doing Human Trafficking 101 training for all of our new employees. I think we've got some bus drivers coming over, some food service people, plus our parapros and teachers in the middle school that have not had it. So we're looking forward to that. And then on January 4th and 5th, we held our grade level data reviews, and what those are basically is each grade level gets together and discusses the winter MAPS testing and the growth the kids made, and realign our learning labs to meet the kids' needs for the second semester. So that was basically a half day for 5th and 6th grade on the 4th, and a half day each for 7th and 8th grade on the 5th. So very productive stuff. We've got our winter interventions set to go on the 22nd when the kids start second semester. So that worked out well. The final thing I've got is Wednesday. Our 7th grade learning lab, Explorer, is doing their winter field trip. Muskegon River Watershed Assembly, Cropscott Environmental Center, and Muskegon Conservation District are coming to lead the activities. Hopefully we have some snow for the kids. They're going to be able to snowshoe on the cross-country trail. Stephanie wrote a grant called Nature is Our Educator to cover the cost of this event. We were able to purchase extra winter coats, hats, and gloves in case the students don't have them. So it should be a fun day if we get the snow that they're calling for. Those kids are going to go out there and have a great time. So any questions you have that you may have?
What's the date of that, Kevin?
Wednesday, this Wednesday, the 10th. Okay.
Well, I believe that Mr. Zuber is under strict instructions from some students to call a snow day for that day.
No, tomorrow. That's tomorrow. We're good tomorrow. We're good tomorrow, Brett. Wednesday, do not. No. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Simon.
All right. So in addition to what you have for the board report, if you weren't able to make it to the Christmas or the choir concert to see our students in action, you were in the middle of part of the Fiddler on the Roof. So our students are working extremely hard at that. It's going to be a fabulous show. It's one that Lucas has put on before. We've got a lot of kids involved, so I'd encourage you to come out in February or early March and support our kids in that. As Kevin stated, snow is coming, so we have snow coming going on this week. Snow coming game Friday night. If you make it to the game, there is a Penny Prince and Penny Princess that you can put some money in a bottle for. Basically, it will go to a certain charity, so there will be their name and then the charity that the money will go towards. So if you feel so obligated to vote for a Penny Prince or a Princess, you can do that Friday night. Ski Club is planning, and that is with Cello Santana and Kyle Mole. They do a great job. Lots of kids go and have a great time when we head up there. Students and staff greatly enjoyed ending our first semester early. Or I shouldn't say early, right before the break started. Let's see, Rob, I know you had asked about the innovative and alternative learning, so we're putting something together for February so we can present on that. And I also just want to say, in working with multiple superintendents, I just want to thank you, Mr. Zuber, for your leadership. I know every time you come into the high school, our kids light up. They appreciate your personality. They appreciate your kindness that you show to every single one that enters the door, and we just appreciate your leadership to our staff, whether it's support staff, teaching staff. You treat everybody with kindness, and we appreciate that. So thank you. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Dan? Thanks for running. Thank you, Dan. All right, Mr. Zuber.
All right. Thank you for the kind words, guys. Love you all. First semester, Mr. Simon just mentioned, first semester at the high school ended well right before break. Something different this year. The calendar was a little bit different doing that. I've been involved with that transition in a couple different districts, and people get a little nervous the first time you do it because it just seems a little earlier. But once you do it once, I've never met anybody that wants to go back. So thank you, Mr. Simon, for having that work so well and with the communication and all that. And kind of echoing what Mrs. Dawson said, all school buildings ended up raising a great deal of money and collecting significant amounts of food for our community and families in need this holiday season, so just amazing. And you said it very well, where it's a tough time for a lot of our families in this district. And for us to get record numbers of coins, record pounds, literally 1.5 tons of food, it's amazing. So that says a lot about the community of Grant and our district. So thank you to everybody for that. The winter athletics are in full swing. Actually, there's a home wrestling match tonight, meet tonight. I'm sure we're doing well. Girls Hoops is home tomorrow. Boys and girls are home Friday, so lots going on. And like Mr. Simon said, Fiddler on the Roof is going to be happening here at the end of February and the first weekend in March. So posters are all over outside in the hall, so please make it to that. We've just got so many students who do amazing things, both in the classroom, in the hallways, in extracurricular activities, whether it's a field or a stage. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. I sent something out in my Friday updates last week to our staff, and I'm going off on a tangent. I apologize. I know kickoff has happened probably. Walking into the back door of the middle school, back through the cafeteria the other day, I heard out of the band room, I think it was 7th grade band, beautiful French horn playing, and I knew the song. And I'm a music nerd, and it drove me crazy that I couldn't figure it out, so I made a beeline right into there. Mr. Dion was in there, and I said, I know it's from a movie. Obviously, it's an instrumental, but I cannot remember what it was. And so he gave me the hint of dinosaurs, and of course, it was the theme of Jurassic Park, but this young man played it flawlessly. And again, goes, you want to hear it again? I said, you're darn right I do. It was perfect. So that's just so many, we've got so many talented students. Our strategic planning progress monitoring meeting is this Wednesday, so that will be good. Our last meeting was right before school started, I think about the end of August, and so we do consistent check-ins to just make sure that we're staying on task and moving forward, and if we need to adjust or add or tweak a little bit. So I know we've got some people on the committee sitting in here tonight, so thank you for being involved in that. Grant High School is hosting a classroom learning lab, which is again part of our strategic plan. This week, thanks to Mr. Teen for hosting. It's a big deal to do that, to kind of put yourself out in front of your peers. And thanks to Mrs. Webb for facilitating. I always say it's the most amazing professional development our teachers can be involved in. It's a little nerve-wracking to start, but once you do it, it's like, okay, I can see why this works. So that's this Wednesday, I think, tomorrow. It's tomorrow. My days are flying by. There have been, like Mr. Thorne mentioned, there have been many inquiries from students regarding snow days. We do still have all 6 left, so just throwing that out there. Human Trafficking Prevention Committee is continuing to make strong progress in the helping of students statewide. There are plans moving forward to potentially partner with a district on the east side of the state, which is a more urban setting, to help pilot the curriculum as well. The MDE, Michigan Department of Ed, is still very interested in helping us move forward with this, knowing that it's a very, very important charge. So thank you to everybody in our district that's heavily involved with that. It's a heavy topic. It's literally saved lives already of students here and other students in our county. So it is a great, great thing. It's been tremendous to see everyone back after break. Lots of excitement and positive energy in all our buildings, and it is so fun to see students get back. I mentioned to anybody who listens, and some people do listen, that just the 99% of the students, even the first day back, were so excited to be back. A couple people, I'm so tired, I had to get up early. And like one girl had said she was staying up till 5 in the morning, or till whatever, 5 or 6 in the morning, and then sleeping until 5 in the afternoon. So she had to flip her clock back. But they've been really, really excited to get back. And so that says a lot for our teaching staff, our support staff, our building administrators. So thank you. It's nice when people look forward to getting back to school. Mike, I know you're excited to get back, aren't you? Sorry to put you on the spot. We've got one more. Our superintendent's at a county school safety meeting this Wednesday. It's going to be in White Cloud. There's been a refocus, and goals have been reestablished to help the group focus a little more. Thank you to all our Newaygo County police chiefs and all of our school resource officers for leading this effort and making sure that we're focusing on the right things. And again, we've talked about it a lot, but it's a great way for all of our districts and cities and towns in our county to get together and have a common language. If something terrible were to happen at any of our districts, God forbid anywhere, but that they have the same language when they're coming in to help. And just the refocus is more along the lines of actual more trainings versus listening to speakers, which is great, but actually some more cognitive things where, where Officer Visser may come in and work with a group of teachers or our administrators and say, okay, this has just happened. What are you doing in the first 3 minutes? What are you doing in the first 10 minutes? Whose responsibility is this? Whose responsibility is that? And it's a lot to think of. And you always say you've got a plan, which we do. We have plans until something actually happens. And so I think the more we can visit that in our brains, the better. It will still never prepare us if we ever are faced with something tragic or something scary that we have to move forward on, but we want to make sure that we give ourselves the best opportunity to be ready. So that is it for me. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Zuber?
No, but I just like to go back to something Dan had said, and it's just because it weighs heavy on my heart, and it did last year, about the penny votes. I know you do that, they do it at the game, and to me, it becomes a division between who's got money and who doesn't have money, and almost like the kids who are, not as well off, their families, they know they don't stand a chance. I had heard some comment on that last year. Just something that maybe if from now on we can go back to a good old way of the kids voting or something. It just weighs heavy that I feel that there's a division, financial division there as to who can make king and queen.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Zuber? All right. Finance Committee report.
We received a one-time funding, a state aid fund for the 23-24 school year to assist with enrollment decline. It's called the Enrollment Stabilization, Section 29-7, in the amount of $255,944.71. Legal fees. The invoice I received includes July 23rd through November 30th at $67,236. The invoice breakdown is as follows. $38,256, contract negotiations, general matters, $22,412 on OCR complaints and FOIA requests filed by community and non-community members, and that includes legal follow-up with our legal counsel, $6,568,000 on special ed, Title IX, MASB, and the state aid preparation, that's training, and then the state aid preparation. Projected amended budget for legal fees for the 23-24 school year will be $100,000. Finance Committee meeting update, January 22nd at 7:30 a.m. in the admin conference room. Again, that was January 22nd at 7:30 a.m. in the admin conference room. There will be a late February Finance Committee budget meeting to review the budget amendment, which will be presented at the March 11th board meeting. So amendment projected will be presented at the March 11th board meeting. Key card access for all buildings on campus, proposal with 3 estimates will be presented at the February board meeting. This purchase will be fully covered by the safety and security grant.
Any questions for Sabrina? All right, that takes us to consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Do I have a second? Support. For the motion and support to approve the consent agenda, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Consent agenda passes. Thank you. Action items. First one, approval of renewal of administrative and director contracts.
Yeah, it's being requested that the board approve the renewal of contracts for our administrators and directors. The effective date for this will begin July 1st, 2024, and the contracts will run through June 30th of 2026. And I know Holly worked to get them all out to everybody earlier today to take another look at. So again, thank you for asking for those beforehand. I appreciate it.
All right, do we have a motion? So
Support.
Support. Okay, so we have a motion and support. Any discussion?
When are these contracts actually due? These are 2-year contracts, correct?
Yeah, current contract expires June 30th of this year, June 30th of 24.
Okay. Typically, these contracts are 2, in some districts even 3. I know the superintendent is 3, and they're typically done before the end of the contract at an earlier date. So I think that I'm also curious, when has this been something that the board has had to review before? I thought that contracts were usually a superintendent.
No, we just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware.
Actually, legally, if the board needs to sign off on them, the board needs to approve them. So, and these contracts take a board signature.
So these are 2-year contracts, so is this something that's been taking place every 2 years?
Yep.
So they've been a rolling contract, a new 2-year contract yearly though, right? So every year they've been issued a new 2-year contract. Yes, this one would start July 1st of 24 and go through June 30th of 26.
Is there Why do you vote on why do you bring forth contracts every year if it's already a 2-year contract? Why is it every 2 years?
So that you don't have administrators leaving because they're afraid they're not going to.
It's kind of a concept thing, yeah. Just to know that it's a rolling, that's quite common, actually, to say that it's a rolling.
And as right now, we're the only district in the county that has not already done this. So we're behind the game.
Well, we're not behind in relation to the legality of their dates. Realizing that their contract doesn't end until June 30th. In fact, how does it work, Ken? That if we didn't even take any action, what would automatically happen?
So if I'm going to engage in this conversation, I'm going to ask Rachel to preside over this section, or this motion. So I have a couple of concerns with this right now. One of those concerns is that we haven't seen the contract yet. We have not seen them. We asked for them. I don't know how I sent them out. We've been in training. We haven't had time to actually look at these contracts. I think it's poor practice for us to approve something that we haven't seen. The way that it works by law is if we do not approve, actually, let me state it a little bit differently. The board has to take 2 very specific actions in order to not renew a contract. Okay? And those 2 very specific actions have to happen in a very specific time frame. If we do not take those 2 very specific actions, the contract that the administrators are under automatically renews for another year, and that is by state law. Okay? Now, going a little bit further, the last time there has been board action on administrative contracts was 2019. So that's exactly what has been happening, because the board hasn't approved them. So I personally would make a motion to table this until the board has time to actually review the contracts. Because I think it's a dangerous thing to just approve a contract because it's being presented. We haven't even seen it. So, as an example of that, there is a land use contract that the district has currently for the disc golf property. Just asking the board, what do you think a typical term would be for a land use contract? How many years do you think would be acceptable? 5 years, 10 years, 2 years? Yeah, 5?
Situational on that.
It may be.
Are we still talking about administrator contract?
I'm talking about the dangers of approving a contract that we have not seen. That contract that was approved by this board a couple of years ago was a 50-year term, 50. And in talking to a couple of board members that were there, they'd never seen that contract. So I think the details matter. I get it that the administrators need contracts, and absolutely. The administrators also need to understand that their contract will automatically roll over if we don't shoot them down, right? And again, we have to take 2 very specific actions legally to do that. So these contracts end in June. There's no rush to do it before we see it. That's where I'm at. So I'm offering a motion to table this and pick this up at a different board meeting after we have had time to actually see the contracts.
you thought about what message this sends to our administrative staff?
Well, I believe what it shows that we want to follow policy and legalities. Why do we just automatically want to push something through just because of how something has been when it has not been done appropriately? So all we're saying to our leaders and our administrators are, we just want to do it in a very appropriate manner. Nobody's in jeopardy of having their contract terminated. And when this was presented originally last month, we were being asked to approve something 4 or 5 months after the contract was already written.
Well, let me just clarify, I was being asked to sign them without board approval.
And they were being dated 4 or 5 months prior to. That's not good practice. So as a board, we're trying to establish good practice, good principles, and that's all. And I think that's a safety net for everybody.
So I've made a motion, I don't know if there's a second.
To table it till next board meeting?
To a future board meeting, after we've had time to review.
I'm all for reading it and making sure that we're all on the same board with everything that we received today if we didn't have a chance to dissect it, but I would like it to be taken care of by the next board meeting. If we're going to table it, I agree with
Add it to
that we
next
should
board meeting.
follow it properly, follow the policy the way it's supposed to be, and all of us look at it before you sign that. I appreciate that, but I would like it to still be taken care of by next month.
Okay.
So if we're going to table it, just until the next board meeting.
So I will amend my motion to add this to next month's board meeting so that we have time to review the contracts.
Thank you.
So you'll have to call for a second and vote on that.
Anybody would like to second Ken's amendment?
Yeah, we'll second that.
I'm sorry, but there is literally no good faith with this board. I mean, you're saying on one side, oh yeah, there is no trouble with that contract. Well, we have a really recent history that contracts aren't always safe. So, I mean, you guys are going to vote, I'm going to vote, but I think that you are making a big mistake and you are toying with people's careers and their lives, and you're doing it with that money.
I disagree with you.
I'm sure you do.
I absolutely do. Because, again, legally, we have to follow certain steps. And we cannot legally end one of those contracts without taking 2 very specific steps as a board.
And they have to be done in a specific time frame.
They have to be done in a specific time frame.
Do you know what those are?
I don't know that time frame.
I know it's months in the past.
It's multiple months, yes, but I wouldn't even dare to say what that time frame is because I don't know it. But I think that we are doing a better service by doing our due diligence than following a past practice of simply signing that without actually board approval, because legally it can be challenged on whether or not those contracts are even valid. I'm not looking to do that. I don't want to do that. I simply want to follow the process that we need to follow to keep everything legal. That is all I'm looking for.
I don't think it's being, I don't believe it's being flippant as much as it's being operated appropriately in good practice and good procedure. I call for a vote.
So I have on the table here that Ken made an amendment to his original motion, that he would like to table the contracts to next month's meeting, allowing the board time to read the contracts before an official vote and signing. And I have Rich supporting that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And how firmly you have to call for opposed? You have to call for an opposed vote.
Oh, any opposed? Sorry.
So best practice is to call for a roll call.
Stephanie? Aye.
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 You want to take right over? All right. Approval of Grant Area District Library Trustee Renewal.
Yeah, it's recommended that Mary Saplinskas be appointed to the Grant District Library Board as a representative. The term is renewed starting in January 2024 until December 2027. The board is being asked to support and approve the appointment of Mary Saplinskas.
Do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Support? Who gave the support? Is it Rob? Okay. Any discussion? No discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Schedule B, posting additional grant facilitator.
Yeah. And I hope there was we were getting some updates from Marshall Drake today, so I don't know if you guys ended up getting in your packet or separately the job description and all that. I had to leave a little bit earlier to come over here to help it set up, but you should have that as well. If not, I'll read it. It's being requested that the board approve the addition of the position of grant facilitator as an extra duty, Schedule B position. The district has several grants that need to be managed and evaluated as the year moves forward. Upon approval of this position, it will be posted with the intent to fill for the remainder of the year. We're going to post it internally first. The job description reads, assist in researching, procuring, and delivering grants to various aspects of Grant Public Schools, lead the management and evaluations of current grants, work with staff to determine student needs, curricular needs, and how to help fund those needs through grant writing, work with central office staff in the administration of grant funds for all GPS buildings and programs who qualify, write or co-write grant applications, become familiar with state-funded grants, federally funded grants, and private local grants and opportunities, work with the finance department, building administrators, the superintendent, and other parties as needed to implement and follow through with grants administration and budget. The position will be paid through the Schedule B pay scales outlined in the GEA contract under the heading of other.
All right, so we need a motion on this one, please. So do we have support? Okay, failing any support, this motion would fail. And then if people have their opportunity, is there support for the motion?
Support.
All right, discussion.
I'm just confused if this was approved as a Schedule B position.
That's what we're doing.
Okay, so, but the follow with Marshall, he was good with that? Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I got a different take on that, actually, Brett. I do, because this is administrative, or looks very administrative to me as far as the description, so I think that it would be wise for us to maybe send this job description directly to Marshall and have him give us a ruling on whether or not this would be Schedule B approved or not.
We do have administrators that are on the schedule, the schedules for extra duties. But we can.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're staying within the guidelines of the Schedule B and within the GEA contract. I mean, I agree it's an incredibly important position. I think what we may want to do here, lack of anything else, is approve the job description. We would have to approve this anyways. But, so we would actually need to take two votes on this. One would be to approve the job description, and then the other would be to approve the addition of this position. Because this is an addition, an administrative addition. Am I correct on that?
I don't know that it would be technically an administrative position. It's a Schedule B position, just like a basketball coach or a club director. This is how we're going to try and get through this year, like we talked about.
Yep.
And figure out where we want to go from there, because it's such an important part of who we are. And Stephanie did such a wonderful job of building this up. We don't want this to get lost in the shuffle.
No.
Holly is swamped. Everybody, because we need somebody with some experience to do that. I'd actually met, I know we talked about this the other day, but I met with the CEO of the Fremont Area Community Foundation right before break. She had some ideas of some people who may be interested. We wanted to make sure that with this, we offer internally first, in case there was any of our staff, whether it's teaching staff, support staff, anybody who has an interest in this would want to look at this first. If we don't have any interest, then we will post it outside the district as well, because we need to do this.
Yeah, and I agree that there's definitely a need here. It feels like we're scrambling to try and fill it. Partially because I know there's been some communication right now with it, but I think that we need to, for me specifically, I think we need to definitely make sure that this is truly a Schedule B, if this can be approved as a Schedule B. So I would, I can't make a motion unless I do that, which I will do. I would make the motion that we approve this job description with it being subject to getting a legal opinion that this falls within Schedule B. Now, I guess I could amend that. Let me change my motion. Let me change my motion to approving the job description. And then we also then need to follow up to find out whether or not this falls in Schedule B, both for pay and the way that it's posted. That would be the motion that I would offer. So I'm making a motion to approve the job description. So moved.
Support.
And then get the opinion on whether or not it's actually Schedule B or not.
And Schedule B primarily refers to curricular, extracurricular activities and so forth.
Yeah. As laid out in the G.
As opposed to administration, right?
Correct. So, Rachel, you have a motion?
It's like extra duty.
So Ken made the motion, and then did Robbie support that? Was that Sabrina?
Right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Did you say nay, or were you calling it nay for nay?
I would call for nay.
Okay.
Motion passes.
So then that takes us back to the actual position. So now we're on the position, adding the grant facilitator. Which we have a motion and a second on already. Is there any further discussion on this? Yes.
this. I won't do that again, just simply because I think that we need to get this job description figured out before we approve the actual addition as a position. And I would also offer that if we can get this like turned around fairly quickly from March, as far as saying, yes, this looks good, he can support that being within Schedule D. And we could call a very quick special board meeting just to approve it. So. I don't have any other to say.
So, moving forward, we have a motion from Rob and support from Stephanie to discuss on the agenda. We want to move forward with a vote.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the addition of this grant facilitator. So yes, we need a vote on that.
Yep, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Simply because we don't have the job description approved yet. Takes us to treasurer's report. Need a motion for the treasurer's report, please.
So, support?
Okay, so we have a motion and support to approve the treasurer's report. Any discussion? Question? No questions or discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. General fund definitions and general fund summary. Can we get a motion on that, please? Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on the general fund summary? Questions? None? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Item F, retroactive change from November 23 resignation of Stephanie Bill.
Yeah, and this, I hope everybody has, this was again something we were waiting on an opinion on and got that today. Stephanie Doe resigned her full-time position at Grant Public Schools in November 2023. She's continuing on as one of the co-directors of the after-school program. This was not noted at the previous board meeting when the resignation was accepted. Legally, this was the suggestion was that this retroactive request is being made to ensure fulfillment of all policy and procedure guidelines.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the retroactive change from the November 2023 board meeting, the resignation of Stephanie Doe.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do we have support? Support. Robert, you. Okay, so we have a motion and support to accept the retroactive change from the November 2023 resignation of Stephanie Doe. So the change is that she is continuing to work as a co-director of the after-school program. Any discussion on that?
No discussion? All right.
Yes, I'd like to, I believe we need to postpone this. It was brought up last week by someone in the public, and we need to get the answers that the questions of operating under 2 full-time contracts plus receiving an additional approximately 50% more pay above those 2 contracts. And it was brought up on where was that money coming from? We had so we had someone operating, being paid under 2 full-time contracts, plus it shows that she received an additional almost 50% on top of that. And it's not clear on where those additional funds came from. And so I just think in light of the fact that it was brought forth publicly, that we owe it to the public to give them those answers before we move one way or another in relation to this. Okay? Any other discussion?
No other discussion? All right. We'll ask for a vote. All in favor of accepting the retroactive change from the November 2023 resignation of Stephanie Dode, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, so we need to do a roll call. Rachel? Nay. Dana? Rich?
Nay.
Nay.
Ron?
Aye.
Stephanie? Okay, motion passes. All right. Payment of bills, check number 5170 and 5236.
Yep, the following are check numbers 5170 and 5236 are requested to be presented in the file.
Do we have a motion? So moved. Do we have support? No support? All right, lack of support, motion fails. All right, that takes us to public comment. If there's public comment, read this? Yes, please, if you would.
Public participation at board meetings. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. To permit fair and orderly public expression, the board shall provide a period for public participation in public meetings of the board and publish rules to govern such participation in board meetings and in board committee meetings. The rules shall be administered and enforced by the presiding officer of the meeting. The presiding officer shall be guided by the following rules. A, public participation shall be permitted at a time as determined by the presiding officer. B, anyone with concerns related to the operation of the schools or to matters within the authority of the board may participate during the public portion of the meeting. C, participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name, address, and/or group affiliation if and when appropriate. D, each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. E, no participant may speak more than once. F, participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. G, the presiding officer may prohibit public comments which are frivolous, repetitive, or harassing, interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, Request any individual to leave the meeting when that person behaves in a manner that is disruptive of the orderly conduct of the meeting. Request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. Waive these rules with the approval of the board when necessarily for the protection of privacy or the administration of the board's business. The portion of the meeting during which the participation of the public is invited shall be limited to 30 minutes, but the time frame will be extended if necessary so that no one's right to address the board will be denied. Tape or video recordings, I would probably say cell phone recordings too, are permitted subject to the following conditions. No obstructions are created between the board and the audience. No interviews are conducted in the meeting room while the board is in session. No commentary, adjustment of equipment, or positioning of operators is made that would distract either the board or members of the audience while the board is in session. The person operating the recorder should contact the superintendent prior to the board meeting to review the possible placement of the equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber. Any public comment?
Hi, my name is Nicole Spangler. My address is 700 Newaygo Road, Bailey, Michigan, 49303. This never gets easier. I'm shaking. I don't know why, because it never gets easier. All right, the first thing that I want to address is dress code. I know that nothing has been done about it via the high school. I know that a couple have been sent home from the middle school. But I would like to know what's being done about it, what we need to do to address it more, what I need to do to help address it more. I think it's getting out of hand and something needs to be done about it. And then busing. So I have busing on here. The middle school has gotten much better. There's no balls being thrown. We can actually drive through the parking lot. It's amazing. But the cluster in the morning at the elementary, let's see if we can brainstorm an idea of how to get rid of that or what we can do, whether buses have to go a different way or cars have to go a different way, or I don't know how I get this on the table to have this even brought up or anything, because it's not only dangerous for us in the bus, but it's also dangerous for the children that are running back and forth from the parked cars to the school and vice versa. And then in the afternoon, we have the police officer, and usually the police officer, and the art teacher, Mrs. K, I don't know her actual name, and the guidance counselor, Mrs. K as well, I don't remember her name either, standing out there directing traffic, which is amazing. It helps get us to the high school, but I think we need to do the same thing at the high school, getting to the middle school. So I'm not sure how we address this either. I have spoke to Donna about it, and I have spoke to other people about it, but again, nothing's being done about it. So, and then the crossing aids. I know that's a really difficult job, but I would like to say thank you to them, and I think the board needs to also acknowledge them. I'm going to name a few people that I've seen out there. I know I've seen Brett out there, Travis DeVos I've seen out there, Scott E, I don't know his last name, it's Mr. E, that's what they call him. The art teacher at the elementary, the guidance counselor, again, Mrs. K, I don't remember what her name is. And then there's another lady in the afternoon that does it at the PC as well, and I don't know who she is either, but I've seen her a couple times. So I want to say thanks to those people, and I think that you guys should acknowledge them as well, because that's a crappy job. And then also, I'm going to direct this towards Brett, but where have you been? I haven't seen you around in like ages. Yeah, so I think that the dress code is the biggest thing. I don't know when I brought it up last or when it was brought up, but something needs to be done about it. I'm going to give you an example. not on my bus, but on another bus, a student walked on with a bra on. It was a bralette and a very short skirt in the high school. And an 8th grade boy turned and watched her walk back and said, "That's a dress code. Oh wait, she's in the high school, it doesn't matter." That's not fair. So I really think that something needs to be done about it. So.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Scott Dewey, 4757 East 112th, Grant, Michigan. More of a comment here. Looking back over the year, can this board, as individuals, speak on what your greatest achievements have been, not that have benefited the community and not your personal interests? And how can we improve on the besmirched public image that we now suffer since last summer and early fall last year? It was all over the news, local as well as national. I think something needs to be done to change our image. That's all I have today.
Thank you, Scott.
Lindsay Malish, I have a question on the minutes. For action item G, was that motion approved or denied for the payment of bills check 5170 and 5236?
That motion actually died for lack of a second.
Okay. As a community member, I'm requesting that the board expand more why those two checks were not denied or why that motion wasn't supported. And specifically, Richard, if you could speak to it, because I know those two checks you pulled out of the consent agenda last month and brought to the table. Those were FOIA'd, so we do know that both of those checks go to Stephanie Dode, and I'm just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, because if it is that they were denied because this allegation or concern was recently brought to you last week, I'm just trying to make sure that's why these two checks weren't denied, because of an investigation you're doing. Because it seems if that was the case, you would have known that back in November when you tabled these two specific checks. So if you could just expand on that. So, Richard, were you aware, why were these two checks specifically called out last month?
This can be discussed later. This is a period for you to make a comment. We have a discussion time later that we can address anything that's brought up during this time.
Okay, great. So you'll address these two checks, why you brought them up last month, and why you decided to let this motion to approve these two checks die on the floor?
Someone may do that.
Okay. My request is Richard Vance specifically answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
I'm Mary Brown. I live at 80 Brink Street. As a member of or representative of the community for the CHC advisory board, some of us on the board, I don't want to speak for everybody, but some of us are just wondering and looking for a bit more direction from you as a school board and as a representative of the board and of our community, myself, just looking for some direction on what exactly it is that you'd like us to give input on, what directions what things that you're thinking we're going to give direction about for the CHC. So much of it is regulated by the state and federal governments on how it functions. there's not a lot left for us to advise on specifically, that from what we can see. So we're just wondering if you could give us a bit more direction on that. Like I said, I don't speak for everybody, but for a few of us that have had that conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Melissa Haynes, 64 North Lake. I had a question. Can someone tell me who creates the agenda and when it goes out to the board?
We can do both. Actually, I can do both. Yeah.
Okay.
We try and have it out the Friday before, and then occasionally, like today, we can bring in a couple of legal interpretations, so there were some late adjustments that were made, and it kind of put the storm in some deal, and so it hasn't been in the last week or so, so we can try and piece that together. Traditionally, it's sent out every Friday, the Friday before the board meeting, sometime morning or lunchtime, circulate about that with the
So the board is only given 2 days to review and determine if they have questions or need additional information prior to the meeting in which all of these items are discussed? Is that correct?
Yeah, and what we also try and do too is, we just talked about this the other day too, if there's items that need to be added, that board members want items added to, email both myself and Ms. Anderson to make sure that we.
Is that standard timeline for most schools within our district or across the state? Do board members, can I ask each of you, do you feel that that's enough time for you to prepare for these meetings? I see some.
I would have to say it's very dependent on the information that's given. Personally, like today, for example, a lot of the information we weren't given until today, like prior to our 3 o'clock meetings, which we didn't even have time to dissect at all, but some information given is heavier than other times. So there are times I've noticed even for myself to read through all that and actually like think about it, per se, like contracts, as many as you could get. I would like a little bit more time, but I understand where we sit too, so it would have been nice having it before today, is basically what I'm saying. I would have at least had a little bit more time, but there have been times that I feel it would be a little bit better, like in the middle of the week, because then I'd have a couple of days to go back to Brett and or whomever needs to be and ask more questions.
I know I brought this up before. I would like us as a board and to work with Brett and the administrators to see, and I know it's hard to make that switch, but strive towards working to make Thursday, agenda going out. I know that's what we've done to Lisa. That it's a challenge with everybody's schedules to try to just implement that right away, but that would be a goal I feel like we should try to work for this year.
I ask because we saw it again today, but historically, at the meetings I've been at, there are quite a few large items that are on the agenda that board members continually ask to be tabled because they need more information or they haven't read the information that was provided months ago. So we've had many things go from month to month to month and never get an answer or resolution. Something like the contracts, I don't understand why you would put it on the agenda without the board having been provided with the contracts to review if you're trying to follow policy and procedure, which is a new thing for you guys. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's a big comparison from last year. So I don't understand why we have board members who are not given the information and provided it in time to have an actual discussion over it or request information prior to these meetings, because as community members, we're sitting here, a topic's brought up, and then it's tabled, and then the next month it's tabled, and then 3 months or 4 months later, then it comes up again. And right now, you're talking about contracts that affect not our administrative positions. These are people who rely on this job, especially within our community. And if we are tabling that because we're not doing our due diligence as board members to review that information timely and make that choice, then there has to be another process that you put in place to accommodate that. Otherwise, we're going to lose additional administration, which we've lost a lot of teachers, we've lost community members, we've lost students, all because of choices that the board made last year without without considering policy or procedure. So why would you put our administration in a position where they feel like they need to start looking for jobs because the board is all of a sudden stopping and saying, we can't approve, we're going to stop and approve these every year?
Thank you.
Mikhail Salsina, City of Grant. Just over the course of the past year, I've heard at many of these meetings how much of the extracurricular and enrichment programming here is supported through grants. So in selecting someone to fill the vacant grant writer position, I think this board needs to be very cognizant of choosing someone who can deliver on successfully writing those grants and getting those grant dollars into the school, because from what I've seen over the course of the past year, it appears that the district is heavily dependent on those grant dollars, and that's something I think this board needs to carefully consider going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I know that the board has changed a few faces over the last couple of years, but I do want to point out on behalf of the administrators and the directors that on June 20th, 2022, our contracts were reviewed and approved. 5-0, three of you, Rachel, Danette, and Rob, thank you for approving those at the time. So I do want to point that out, that they have been reviewed and they have been approved. It hasn't been since 2019, Ken, like you mentioned.
I didn't see that in the meeting notes. I
Thank you.
will look again. Thank you, Dan.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Mike Maximchuk. I am the GEA President, Grant Education Association President. And I've got really two, comments to make this evening to share with you. First off, on behalf of the GEA, I want to share our support of our administrative team, both Mr. Zuver and our building principals. They've done an exceedingly great job, especially through all the vicissitudes of COVID and everything that we've dealt with over those couple of years, dealing with it with grace, compassion, and working with us very, very well. So all the way around, we can't thank them enough for their leadership in our buildings. And with that being said, you know, what happened this evening, just looking at their contracts, et cetera, I know there's more discussion to be had. But the morale, right, that's got to affect the morale of our leadership within the district, whether it's Mr. Zuver or building administrators, because they need a little bit of a safety net to be able to do their job. And in the next couple of years, several of our administrators might be thinking about retiring. And what kind of a message does that send to future possible administrators? You have 5, 6 teachers within the district who have administrative credentials. What kind of message does that send to those individuals? Do they want to become an administrator within the district? So that's item number one. Secondly, the grant writer position. I do want to discuss this because that is under the auspices of the GEA collective bargaining agreement, which is in effect until June 30th of 2025. It does say under Schedule B that for work outside of the contract day, it is 0.06% of base pay for a teacher, which is roughly $26. However, this needs to be discussed with the union. And I don't know when this idea came out to have it as a Schedule B position to be paid as a teacher's hourly rate. It sounds like Marshall was involved with some discussions, maybe even just today. But the GEA is demanding to be part of those discussions, whether it's the pay rate, the description of the job, et cetera. So if it's not already in your inbox, Mr. Zuver and Mr. Thorne, it will be before the end of the night, that there will be a demand to bargain from the union on that issue. So if there's any questions on it, I'll discuss the GEA contract, because I think some of the board may be more familiar with it than others. But in there are several extracurricular positions. Mr. Vance, you had asked that question. A lot of sports, art club, et cetera. And there is one provision that, again, it's just an hourly rate for activities outside of the workday. But if this is going to be a new position that you would like to post, that you'd like to create, then we need to be a part of that discussion. Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? No other public comment? That takes us into discussion items. Any items the board wishes to discuss?
I just have one thing I wanted to respond to the question about achievement for the year. Thought about that a little bit. I put down a couple. One, being the activation of our Walnut Street property for student education, actually developing that site. I feel like that's a big bonus to our district, and thank you to everyone involved. I'm also proud of pushing back on the termination of the Child and Adolescent Health Center contract. I feel like that was very vital to so many of our students. And then the third is simply survival. And after tonight, I feel like that might actually be the biggest thing. Second part, I also, as a board member, would like a little bit more direction on what the Child and Adolescent Health Center Advisory Committee is expected to do and what that role looks like. I've asked the same questions. I'd like to see that happen. That's it. Oh, one last thing. I really appreciate all of your leadership through all of this. It was interesting to hear our trainers' comments about the superintendent who was basically coming out of the hospital with elevated stress and anxiety. And I know that this has been a rough stretch, to say the least. And I agree with our teachers and administrators who have the statements that they appreciate your positivity, your leadership, your skill set are all things that are really valuable to our district. And I just want you to know that.
Any other discussion?
I guess I'll address the two checks that we were talking about. The only reason why that was brought up was due to the fact that that person had resigned, and those checks were written for things after her final day. And that's the reason why it comes into question. Simply put. Nothing else, nothing more.
Anyone else? Brett, I would like to ask if we can put a plan together to help Nicole with her concerns around the dress code and how do we address that? What do we need to do? If our handbook is lacking there, or our policies are out of date, we can look at that.
Our student handbook was recently approved by this board in May or June, I don't remember. It was recently just on, so I don't know if it's lacking policies. One thing, and I've been a high school principal, so I understand. Sometimes it's hard when, and Nicole, I don't know if it was someone who's getting on the bus in the morning or on the way home or what, but I know one thing I always faced as a principal, and teachers faced it too, is if somebody shows up in the fourth hour and the teacher sends them down for a dress code violation, student and parent will say, well, they were fine first, second, third hour. It's just consistency, and it's hard. It's hard. It's something I know Mr. Simon and Mr. Scott address a lot, talk about all the time. not going to see every student every day when they walk in. Those two aren't. So there's just a lot of trust that has to be put into that. I also understand, and I want to make sure I say this correctly, as a male administrator, I've been put in some very precarious situations when dealing with dress code. And so I've always called in a female staff member if she would be available, whether it's a counselor or somebody, to help with that, because that's a real thing. You can read cases online, and it's not excusing anything, but accusing teachers or administrators, male and female, of inappropriate comments, or why are you looking at me like that, or why are you noticing, so it's a delicate thing. It's a delicate thing, and I agree, we want it to be a great area for students and learning and education. I'm there a lot, and I'm sure I've missed some things. I'm at high school just about every day, and they're probably missing people. But I do know they work incredibly hard at it, and they deal with every single situation that is brought to them or that they see. But yeah, we can figure out what else we may need to do. Yeah.
What is the rule of bus drivers or anyone who's like first contact?
Right.
Anyone who's first contact.
Right. Yeah.
Do they have the authority or
if you can catch them? I guess that's a great question. I've never asked the question if somebody's getting on the bus. I know in other districts I've had drivers who said you're not getting on wearing that. So,
what would happen if we did that?
And I don't mind fielding a phone call from a mad parent if that's the case. So, I don't want to put any undue stress on our drivers or anything like that, but if it's something noticeable, I would say help us out. Yeah, absolutely. If you see something, help us out. Male or female.
I'm sure we can run into occasions where they can show up one way, go into the bathroom, and they're transformed, and
or wearing a sweater and then that one, whatever. Yes.
Yes. It's just hard to do.
It's an inexact science, that's for sure.
Yeah. I would just like to express my appreciation to the board for all the members. We've dug in this past year in training and learning, and appreciate your guys' cooperation. And I'd just like to make an additional comment to especially to the administrators and teachers and to people in the community, that if we're trying to teach our young people to follow rules and regulations and so forth, and just like the dress code, but if we as a board do not function within the rules of law, rules of procedures, and allow checks and balances to function, then we send a wrong message to our young people and to our community. And the best check and balance that we can have is if we follow our rules and policies and just allow things to take place the way they need to take place. And in any bureaucracy, we all like things to function faster, pass through faster. And I'm sure, like the contracts, that's not going to happen again, the next time around. But it's a learning process. And it's not trying to point the finger on past blame or whatever, but it is our job that if we can tighten up our bootstraps and function in a more appropriate and legal way, everybody wins. And it's a safer environment for everybody. And I just want to express my appreciation to this board of wanting to try to establish those principles.
I guess, Brett, one other thing, I know, I'm sorry, is it Melissa? Or Nicole, sorry, Nicole. I'm looking down the list and I'm trying to remember who said what. Nicole, you talked about the dress code. You also mentioned at a previous board meeting about knowing when somebody has been expelled.
We've addressed that.
Yeah, okay, that is.
To an extent.
The what?
To an extent.
Okay, so from my perspective, we've talked about all of our principals and Mrs. Robbins. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I wanted to also address the question about the agendas, when the agendas go out and that type of thing. Yes, so the agendas do go out on Friday. That is actually consistent with our policy. Our policy states that they have to be out on Friday. I don't know if it says the day or it says so many days before the board meeting. That works out that they have to go out on Friday. And they do go out on Friday. Today is an example, however, of when we actually showed up at the board meeting and there were items on our agenda and in our board packet that were not included in the Friday email. There were some emails that took place between Friday and tonight, the board meeting, but this packet actually got changed to a degree in that time frame. So there are some times, it shouldn't happen, but it does happen where we actually get here and there's additional items on the agenda or additional information or whatever that were not sent out. We didn't have that full 3 days or whatever, to address it. So technically, if we want to move that back to a Thursday or Wednesday, we can do that, but we're consistent with our policy either way if we send them out earlier. We just have to also be considerate of Brett and Kim and Holly in putting that information together, to be able to do that at an earlier time. So I don't know what other schools do as far as that goes. The other thing that I did want to address is the direction on the CAC advisory board, or actually committee. It is a committee, it's not a board. I am asking for a meeting with Julie Tacko to discuss that. I think the thing that people need to understand is this is a committee that it's not our committee. We appointed people to the committee, but it is not our committee. It is actually their committee. It is their committee to give them advice. I'm happy to bring some ideas and such to them, but I'm actually asking for some time to sit down with Julie and actually talk to her about, hey, we had a meeting, how did that go, that type of thing. So, ultimately, I think that if the committee has some thoughts on things that should change, that would benefit the students in the district and the health center altogether, that committee should make that recommendation to family health care. They should make that recommendation to us as a board, something for us to consider. I can't sit here and give you specific direction, as far as that goes, and I don't think anybody on the board really can at this point. So that would be
I think that should specifically be shared with Julie, because I am under the impression through some conversations that they were not aware either. It was very vague. So it was something that we appointed. So they, without any direction, they didn't know that was something that you wanted them to facilitate.
Well, again, this is contract language that did not change from other than the makeup as far as how many people and such. But it's very consistent with the language in the previous contract. So, I'm a little surprised that there's misunderstanding there, but it's something that we need to have some conversation about. So I knew you had it in the advisory committee. No, I did not. That was part of the original contract.
You just extended it.
We took that same language and put it over. The only thing we discussed was how many parents, how many staff members. That was the only thing that was changed. So, that's right. Any other discussion on this? Okay, with no other discussion items, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Support. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.